everybody, it's Pajama Life with our review of Emilia Perez, back in action in Section 31. Let's go.
Are you English?
No, I'm not English.
No, because you you are pretty.
There's no client. Have a name?
He desires to remain anonymous. If you're not willing to accept, I don't think it's worth talking.
Just cut to the chase.
To listen is to accept.
Okay, welcome back, everyone. It's Pajama and this guy, Patrick. Say hey to the people.
Hey, everybody! Glad to be here tonight. Let's do this.
Yeah, and we're waiting for our buddy Dave to come on, so he'll pop on if he's available. But Pat, what did you think of Emilia Perez? I have thoughts.
Well, I love musicals, and this was really well done as far as the seamlessness of it, where everything felt pretty organic as far as the music. It just kind of seamlessly worked itself into the story rather than just everybody stopped and then it went into something, a big dancer. But those things happen, but it seemed to ramp up and then ramp down from those things. Really interesting story. Again, it is a wonderful analogy for rich and powerful people can do what they want, basically, as opposed to the rest of us. So I was there for it. I like it. I can see why it is garnering so much attention. The first 20 minutes, you'll be like, holy crap, oh my God, I didn't realize this is where we were going, but this is where we are going. So I don't want to give it away for everybody, but really well done. I mean, chock full of star power. Wonderful performances from everybody that was involved in it, and like I say, the direction in it was really seamless with what I was expecting, as far as a musical. So high marks for me.
This is the worst Oscar nominated movie I've seen in a long time. It was terrible to me. It had the protagonist was terrible. Emilia Perez was an awful person. And the way that she did Selena Gomez's character was dirty. And and it also felt kind of old-fashioned in how they dealt with the transgender issues in it. It didn't feel current or modern. And I didn't really care for the songs. I think I like the song that Selena Gomez sang. It's kind of like a workout video, that song, and then the song that Zoe Saldana did at the awards banquet. I didn't even look up the names of them because I was like, okay, but I did like those songs. I liked Zoe Saldana's performance. And kudos to the woman who is Emilia Perez. She's the first of her kind to be nominated for an award. So I think that, but I just the story I just didn't like. The only person I liked was Zoe Saldana. The other people I was like, trash. I just did not like them as people. It had nothing to do with the ancillary issue, but just as a person, I did not like Emilia Perez. So I just couldn't get into it. It took me a couple of tries to watch it, and I know it's a very different take from both of us. But
which is typical, really typical.
usually this one
You
we
and
usually
I don't
like
line up all the time.
musicals. We usually like musicals. This one just wasn't. I think I didn't find the songs really beautiful. Like I see in a lot of music, like Wicked had some beautiful songs, and I don't know if I've seen the other movies, but there are some beautiful songs in some of the other musicals that we've seen over the years nominated. And that this kind of robbed Lin Manuel Miranda of the uh of a nomination for, because it got two songs nominated. And I was just kind of like, what? So I think people enjoy it, but I think it's also very polarizing. I think there's a lot of stuff going on. If you look in the kind of community, there's a lot of concern about this. So I am not excited about it, but we'll see. We'll see what happens on Oscar night. Well, next up is a very traditional romantic action comedy with Back in Action. Cameron Diaz and
Okay,
Jamie
you
Foxx
know
are back.
that I love our life.
What?
Tonight, something clicked. For the first time in a really long time, I felt alive again. I felt like the bitch again.
Mom! But we went off the grid to start a family.
I can't believe they were spies. No way. They're in a pickleball league. They make their own sourdough. Ew.
That was insane.
But was it like a good insane or a bad insane?
The cable broken? Is that why you boomers are out this late?
Boomers.
Yes, Karen. Boomers.
We're not boomers, okay? We're Gen X, if anything.
I thought it was cute. It was kind of basic. Something you can watch on a Saturday afternoon. You can have on while you're cooking dinner. The whole family pretty much could watch, but there were some really dumb things in it that kind of stole the higher rating from me from it. It was certainly something that it wasn't new. It didn't tread any new ground, but it was nice to see Cameron Diaz. She was great as an action star. Now I hope she does some more action movies. She was really good. Jamie Foxx was just kind of like lumbering around going, oh, punch, oh, punch. I don't know. It was nice, kind of like vanilla ice cream. It's nice, but it's not that fancy or fantastic. Pat, what did you think?
Well, this remake of Spy Kids was less than best because it felt that's what it felt like. It was Spy Kids,
Well,
or
and
or
Glenn
Mr. and
Close's role
Mrs.
was
Smith,
dumb.
or Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Either one. I mean, the original, not the much better, or the remake that they did. But it's just, it gave me nothing new. It was at best empty calories. It was super, like you were kind of saying. It wasn't terrible. I didn't like hate it throughout it, but I was like, yeah, it's okay. I could have seen this or not seen this, and I wouldn't have felt like I'd missed out on anything. It was pretty vanilla. Yeah, it was exactly. I mean, it nothing new. It was the same old stuff we've seen before, storylines we've seen before. So, I mean, it was good. Like you said, it was good to see Cameron Diaz trying to come back. And she's done action before, with Charlie's Angels and stuff. And, I mean, she's done a couple little things that were kind of action-y, or action adjacent at the very least. And this was right in that whole thing. It was either True Lies or Spy Kids. But it had a lot of familiar feels, which I know a lot of the movie execs anymore tend to go with, because they know they're going to draw pre-made customer bases into it. And I get that. But it was nothing spectacular. It was a meh. I don't feel cheat. I don't feel like I lost 2 hours of my life, but I don't feel like if I hadn't seen it, I would have missed out on something that would have really been great.
Right. And so definitely something the whole family can watch. It is a lot of cursing. But it's decent. Okay, and finally, we have the most anticipated, at least for me, Star Trek Section 31 with Empress Giorgio.
Philippa Giorgio, you're a tyrant who murdered her own people by the millions. The past always catches up with you.
You're Section 31.
Okay, ladies, now let's get information.
31 is a Black Ops division. Spy work. Starfleet is here to make sure no one commits murder.
What a cute idea.
You're a bad bitch.
We can't trust you with our lives, but here we go.
You ready? Let's get messy. We survive together.
You could tell it was a pilot for a series, but oh my goodness. How did I no. Okay, Pat, talk about it. Well, I try to come up with the words.
I love Michelle Yeoh.
Me
and
too.
she made every bit of everything we saw on that. That was great. I mean, because she just really just embraced the I'm terrible evil, but I'm really fun evil, and it was to be honest, I'm not a big fan of that particular timeline, the Star Trek spinoff from Discovery and stuff. I was not a big fan of the particular Discovery compared to some of the other ones that were out there. So it would have taken a lot to make me really just love this. But Michelle Yeoh is one of those people that could make me love this. And I did love her character. She was delightfully amoral, for lack of a better word. She had no good, no bad. She's just like, I want what I want, and if you're in the way, I'll do what I got to do to make you get out of my way. And there were some good fight
that
sequences.
Was cold-blooded the first 10 minutes. I mean,
that plus, you just saw so much from, it was interesting to see some of the backstory of her character, how she came into the more mainstream Star Trek universes. I just, like I said, I have a problem with the weird starships that they have in that particular period where they're like rearranging themselves and all that kind of crap. I mean, that's just, and I get it, things change and what have you, but if I want to watch a new Star Trek thing, I would have watched, and I did watch the final episodes of Lower Decks, which was wonderful. That's what we should be watching for a Star Trek show if we want to watch that. I understand Michelle Yeoh's a big thing, and Star Trek Lower Decks is animated, but God, that was good. So if you are out there watching this and you're a Star Trek fan, go watch Lower Decks. Watch this if you get time. It's not bad. It was terrible, but it felt like it overreached a lot on several things. And it just,
was terrible.
Just felt a little disjointed. Well, and to be honest, guys, although you're out there, I mean, Pam has a real bad thing with timelines. So this had a lot of that kind of stuff going on.
Not
so
even that.
her eyes were rolling in her head.
I'm setting that part aside.
Oh,
the other characters were dumb, and
the Vulcan with the Irish
I was like, Men in Black.
That was hilarious.
I mean, it felt like they ripped off a lot of other better space movies. Right? There was Men in Black. There was there was another scene that was straight out of like a Star Wars kind of chasing in the space tunnel kind of thing and going back and forth. I was like, ain't that Star Wars? And it just was not, it was something in the writing of it. People were trying to do their best, but it was kind of like okay, this is section 30. You know, they were missing who was in when they first, Jason Isaacs was first kind of introduced this section 31. And they needed somebody like him because this was, it couldn't decide if it was serious or funny, and it didn't do well at both. So if I wanted it to be like a thriller kind of series where, you know, you get to see kind of the underbelly of Star Trek, because of course if you have a spy organization, of course they're going to be doing gray, you know, kind of things, which probably includes assassinations and setting up country, you know, it's just, that's the nature of spy work. So they came in and was like, I'm gonna be here to watch you and make sure you don't murder anybody, when you have a whole empress who murdered millions. Even in this timeline,
it was Tuesday.
like,
what are you gonna do?
What? It just didn't make sense. So I'm sorry that I was so disappointed, not in Michelle Yeoh, because she did what she could, and Omari Hardiman, he did what he could, but the rest of it was like, and so my review of it is, and I'm glad now, thank God, I'm glad it's not a series, that it's a one-off. And I'm sad to see that we won't be seeing more of Michelle Yeoh, I think. Because I would have loved to seen her chew up more scenery the way she did. But yep, this could go on the and back to when Strange New Worlds comes out. I think that's the last one standing at this point. That I don't think there are any more Star Trek series still in the works. So everything that's going on with Paramount Global, I don't know if we'll see anymore. So we'll see, but it's kind of a mixed review, I think. I don't know what's up with Star Trek Section 31. I mean, now on to something more fun that I look forward to every year. The Oscar nominations. And boy, were they a surprise. There wasn't very many big movies at all this year. They were mostly small films dealing with kind of familiar subjects, I think. Let's take a look at the Best Picture list, because this pretty much encompasses a lot of the other nominations. All right, Best Picture, we have Nora, we have The Brutalist, A Complete Unknown, Conclave, Dune Part 2, Emilia Perez, I'm Still Here, Nickel Boys, The Substance, and Wicked. Now, I've seen probably like 3 or 4 of these now. I think, Pat, you've seen 5. What's your take on the movies here this year?
Well, it depends on what they're going with. I mean, you know, there's a wide variety here. We have biopics, you have fantastical musicals. You know, I mean, it's kind of all over the place. It depends on what the Academy is looking at this year. I mean, out of the ones I've seen, A Complete Unknown was really well done, and I'm not a Bob Dylan fan, but it made me reconsider Bob Dylan. I'm not gonna lie. Conclave was interesting. Dune, I always loved Dune. I'm not gonna lie. Emilia Perez was not bad. I mean, it was amazing for what it really reached for and what it tried and what it hit. Like I said, Wicked and Emilia Perez got musicals, couples, and I kind of want to see the Brutalist. I haven't got around to it yet, but it's on the list for me. So, I mean, it's just kind of all over the place, and it just depends on what the Academy is looking for. I mean, there's definite. You can see they're starting to really acknowledge musicals again like they used to, but you haven't seen in quite a while. Because we're kind of coming back into a period when musicals are fashionable again. So we'll see.
Well, I think there are great directors who are skilled at making musicals. And so, or the source material is really good. Wicked, of course, very long running Broadway musical. Emilia Perez is based on an opera and a book. I think one of the most interesting things this year is 7 out of the 10 movies are based on books. And so I'm going to try and review them as many as I can. But I think that's wonderful because you get a really different, rich kind of story. And that's not to take anything away from the original screenplays that are out, but I think it's really, you get so much more depth when the movie is based on a novel. So I'm looking forward to reading the Oscars, and check out my IMDb page. The 2025 Oscar nominations based on books that's up now that you could check out. But I think, which one of these was your favorite? I know which one so far is my favorite of these picks so far. I know you haven't seen them all, but which
So far
of
of the things I've seen, I like The Complete Unknown. I mean, the acting was superior. The fact that Timothy Chalamet was next to unrecognizable, other than just, yes, he's pretty, but he really dove into and basically wore the role of Bob Dylan, was super good. Wicked was just, I want to love it more than what I did, but it felt, it's a prepackaged thing. I get it. We had to find two people that could sing. Wow, that's just surprising. We found two people, and the story's already made. The sets are already, the everything was set for that. Dune 2, loved it, but I don't know. Conclave was kind of, it was interesting and with a surprise twist at the end. Emilia Perez, I thought was bold and brave for them, the way they did it. Interesting. It was an interesting mix of a hard subject with a format that would have been really, was surprising to me. A musical for that particular subject matter. So overall, there's a lot of things, but out of the ones I've seen, I liked Complete Unknown. And man, I do not like Bob Dylan, and he was a total asshole throughout the entire movie.
Yeah.
Man, it was well done. I'm just saying.
Oh, okay. I see, this one's hard for me because I have an early favorite and one that I just adored. So my favorite so far is, well, they're neck and neck, is Conclave. I thought it's a fantastic story. It's a fantastic book, but the acting is superior. I think it was cast perfectly. Everybody in it was the perfect person for it. And I just enjoyed it so much in those last 10 minutes. Just, oh my goodness. It just blew my brains out of my skull. It was so good. So good. And something you just absolutely were not expecting. So that I'm rooting 100%. But what made me mad about these nominations is, how do you have a great film like that and then you don't nominate the director? That is the craziest mess that I have heard of. So that's disappointing. But also, another favorite, Dune 2, baby. Dune 2. You guys know how much I loved it. The cinematography, the sets, to die for. Why it wasn't nominated for, I don't think it got best costumes. And it was beautiful. Those costumes were just incredibly beautiful. I think it was just released too early to really figure into the Oscar. And again, how do you have that movie as Best Picture and not nominate the director for Best Director? That just didn't make sense at all. I just loved it. So, Wicked, I think technically is great. I don't know about, I have to see the Best Actress categories. And let me see. Best Actress. It's kind of, it's interesting. I think it's gonna go. I think it's between Demi Moore for The Substance and Carla Sophia Gascon for the. I think it's between those two. I think there's a first that they could have, but then also with Demi Moore, people love her, and so it's going to be really interesting. But you never know, one of these smaller ones like Honora or I'm Still Here could run away with it. It's you never know. As far as the best actors, that is a deep list this year, and the surprise to me was Sebastian Stan with The Apprentice. I was like, oh wow. I haven't seen Sing Sing yet, but I love Coleman Domingo, and I thought he probably should have got it for Rustin. But Ray Fiennes is my favorite. I really want him to win. And I want Conclave to win. But Sebastian Stan, that was a definite shocker. And was like, what? So I think there's gonna be some surprises in store. I was kind of sad that Pamela Anderson didn't get nominated for her role in The Last Showgirl. And there was another one who was shut out. But it was such a deep field this year but these movies are small, and a lot of them weren't at your regular theaters. A lot of these are art house
Art house, yes, big
house movie. So, but now they'll get more play, and each week we will try and review one of the best pictures. It's truncated this year, so there's a shorter amount of time this year between the nominations and the Oscar telecast. So it's only about 4 or 5 weeks. So we won't get to everything, but we'll talk about everything. So definitely each week in February and beginning of March, and as we reviewed this week Emilia Perez, we'll review different nominations, mostly those that are on streaming, so you can watch them with us. Okay, so definitely check us out each week. Check out my IMDb page and learn about the Oscars and the books they're based on, and we'll read them together. So Patrick, say goodnight to the people.
All right. Well, everybody, good night. Stay strong and stay warm. It's cold everywhere. So I will see you next week.
Yeah. And next week, we start our annual Black History Month celebration. And we will talk about the evolution of the Black quarterback, as well as, if we can find it, it's kind of tough to find, Luther Never Too Much, the kind of biography of Luther Vandross, and A Real Pain, that's up for best original screenplay and I think best supporting actor with Kieran Culkin. Jesse Eisenberg wrote and directed this movie. So we'll see. All right. So definitely come back, check us out next week. We'll see you next time. Take care. Bye.